On today's Locked On Phoenix Suns, we've talked about why the rookies are so important for the Phoenix Suns' success that I missed out on some of the other players. So who are the most important players for this season for the Phoenix Suns outside of the rookies? Let's talk about that and much more next.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome back into Locked On Phoenix Suns. My name is Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show, mornings Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on YouTube at 7 a.m. and a credentialed Suns media member. Thanks for making Locked On Suns here your first listen on this beautiful Monday night, Tuesday morning, however you may be listening, wherever you may be listening. Thank you for making me a part of your day. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Remember, Locked On Phoenix Suns is available and free on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button to do what thousands, dare I say millions of Suns fans have already done. Become an everyday and get locked onto the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. You know, silly me, I have been so fixated on the young players of this team. So fixated on the young players of this team. And most of it has to do coming off of that Kevin Durant trade. And how important Kamon Malawach as the 10th overall pick is going to be for this team. And as much as I've said, like, you know, the rookies can change everything and they have a strong hold on if the Suns made the right move getting rid of Kevin Durant and bringing in the players that they did. Like, the young players of this team can absolutely change a lot of different things. And I've talked about why Kamon Malawach is so important to the Suns' success, because if he is a star, it doesn't matter what you gave up for Kevin Durant. You got a young, ascending star back. I think he has the ability to be the next Rudy Gobert, but even better laterally with the way he moves his feet. So I just have focused a lot on the young nucleus of this team. And I'm kind of going to do so again today, but in a different set. We have focused so much time on the ultra young players of this team, the Rasheer Flemings, the Kobe Bryas, even Oso Ighodaro and Ryan Dunn a little bit to that extent. But we haven't focused on the other players that the Suns got back in that deal for Kevin Durant. So outside of Devin Booker and outside of the rookies, who are the most important players to the Phoenix Suns this season? I know I haven't talked swimmingly about Jalen Green. I think I'm a little bit more realistic than a lot of Suns fans have been on Jalen Green. And for some reason, I didn't have his stats out in front of me, so I'm going to pull those up right in front of me. But I think I've been a little bit more realistic about Jalen Green. I totally see the talent. I'm not denying that. The dude has superhuman athleticism. And I believe even with just a little effort, with the guys around Jalen Green on this team, being Dillon Brooks, being Ryan Dunn, Rasheer Fleming, Nigel Hayes-Davis, a lot of lengthy players to kind of cover up the deficiencies of not just one Devin Booker, but of one Jalen Green, and I think actually amplify some of the character or some of the athleticism traits that Jalen Green has to be able to make him actually a plus defender, meaning he's uberly athletic, I think pretty instinctive, getting out in passing lanes, getting cheap dunks and layups at the rim in the fast break. All those things can really help out Jalen Green. But because he's yet to put it together, and I know this triggers a lot of Suns fans, but do you care about winning basketball or not? Because what's important to me is winning basketball games. And when you take apart that Houston Rockets team, Jalen Green, I understand, was the leader in points a game. Granted, he took a lot of shots. He was not a top 3 player on that team. We can argue about 4 and 5, but it's kind of hard to say he was better than Amen Thompson, Alperen Şengün, and Fred VanVleet. They would have played him more in the playoffs if they thought he was a better player or at least efficient. But they didn't trust him. And so that's where my concern comes in from Jalen Green. He's only been in the league a couple of seasons, but I can only judge you off of the seasons that you've played. And outside of a pretty productive rookie year where I believe he finished fourth in rookie of the year voting, he's been mostly the same player. High volume, low efficiency. 42% from the field, 35% from three, but shooting 8 threes a night. And he's pretty good, at the free throw line. And if I'm not mistaken, I should have had this out in front of me. Maybe I'll get it up momentarily. He's not the best finisher at the rim either. He gets to the rim, and he can do that pretty well, but he's not the best finisher at the rim in this league. So because of all the deficiencies I have with Jalen Green, he's probably the most negative I've talked about all year, because I just can't buy into, out of nowhere, he's going to become a different player, night and day different to pair alongside Devin Booker. I think it's a, hold your breath a little bit with how that Devin Booker, Jalen Green pairing is going to work. With that being said, he is incredibly important to the Suns' success. I think Jalen Green could be awful and the Suns would still be fine. But if Jalen Green finds himself in Phoenix, and I do think there is a very good argument to be made that yes, he will. I mean, think about it. For all intents and purposes, for someone like Jalen Green, who stuck around Houston, loved Houston, had an affinity for Houston, was there for all the tough times, finally gets to the playoffs, doesn't really play super well in the playoffs, but finally gets to the playoffs. You paid your dues being a garbage team your first couple of seasons, and they immediately say we're better without you. Imagine what that would be like for Jalen Green. Imagine what that would be like for you. Let's say you're the top salesman somewhere, and finally the company is profitable, and they decide they're better off without you. Maybe it's because you got a bad attitude or don't work well with others. I don't know. But the main thing is the main thing. The dude could get buckets. He just wasn't doing it super efficiently. Maybe you were getting sales, but maybe you were stealing from other salesmen. That's the concerns I have for Jalen Green. Can he be more efficient? However, I see it too, guys. I see it too. I don't blame Suns fans for getting really excited about Jalen Green. This dude could be freaking awesome. This dude's got the athleticism to jump out of the gym, and I think be a plus defender with the players around him now on this Suns team. I believe this team is actually built for Jalen Green when Devin Booker is not around to take over. And if Jalen Green is a budding star, if Jalen Green is a fringe star in this league, maybe he makes 1 or 2 All-Stars, 3 maybe. That is a massive win for the Phoenix Suns. Because then you're talking about Devin Booker having the best running mate at the point guard position since Chris Paul. And maybe if that's too high, even though Chris Paul was like 80 when he was with the Suns, maybe you're pointing to Ricky Rubio and saying, look what Devin Booker had when he had a capable other guard next to him. I know those aren't the same type of players. Jalen Green doesn't play like CP3 or Ricky Rubio. But skill level, all the same. He kind of falls in that realm too. So, Jalen Green, although I have talked maybe not the glowingest about him and about what he can do as a member of the Phoenix Suns, but I gotta just be really honest with you guys. This dude is the most important player to the Phoenix Suns if the Suns want to get back to a championship really soon. He is the most important player to this Suns team outside of Kaman Malawach and maybe even Rasheer Fleming if you're just trying to be competitive over the next couple of seasons. But let's say Jalen Green is a star. Let's say he's a bona fide star. And just so we're clear, all the people in the comment section typing away that I'm being negative about Jalen Green, have at it. I can totally buy the dude could be a star in this league. I'm not going to say it again, or maybe I will. The dude has all the traits to be an elite level player in the NBA. An elite level player in the NBA. No one is pushing that to the side and saying, nope, that can't happen. That's not it. Jalen Green can be an elite level player here. but can he completely transform his game? Which is, you're asking a guy now from being a volume shooter and kind of having the green light on everything to completely change his game from being the 1 to the 2, shoot less, be more efficient. And I just wonder if that's going to be the right role for Jalen Green right now, as I pull up his statistics right in front of me as well. Just sorry about that really quickly. But yeah, Jalen Green, 35% from 3 while jacking up 8 of them a night. That can't happen. Can you shoot 5 of them a night and still shoot 35%? That would drastically change everything. And Green holds the keys. If Green is awesome, oh God, this Suns team is much closer than even I've been telling you that I think they can be. I have my concerns. I wonder if he can do it for a large sample size. The dude is obviously a mostly healthy player, but at the end of the day, you do have to put it all together. And I think asking him to be a completely different player so far next season, that's a really tall task for Jalen Green to do. So I'm a little skeptical. I think he's still going to be fine for the Suns. I wonder about the fit with him and Devin Booker, but you cannot deny the talent. If the dude puts it all together, I can't wait to be wrong. Because this team would then be even closer to a championship than even you and I could have imagined before. And that would be a really great place to be. That's not the only important player. Suns also traded for another player. This one was on draft night. And no, it's not Kaman Malawach, but he is very important and very vital to the Phoenix Suns' success. So let's talk about him and along with another player next. First, this episode is brought to you by my friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. Right now, new customers, this is like wild, can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I always have to look at that again and make sure I'm reading that correctly. That's true. Your first $5 bet, if it wins, you get $300 in bonus bets. Just put it down on the Browns to lose a game. Like, come on now. You want $300 in bonus bets? Don't risk it too much. Just put it down on Travis Kelce to drop a pass, because that's what he's been doing over the last couple of weeks. But I love whenever I do bet, I love betting on lines. I just feel like it makes me have to use that kind of I don't know. It makes me kind of use my brain a little bit more when it comes to betting on games. The Cardinals this week, my team, plus 1.5 on the road against the San Francisco 49ers. Oof. Cardinals notoriously play pretty well in San Francisco. Mac Jones is going to be playing that game. I think the Cardinals as an underdog, you got to take that 1.5. The 49ers can still win, but if they win by 1.5 points or less, I still win my bet. So with that being the case, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. So I want to talk about the second most important player. Listen, if I was being biased, this is where Ryan Dunn would come into the equation. Because you guys know my affinity for Ryan Dunn. I'll talk about it again in the next segment. Surprise, surprise. He's the third most important player for the Suns this season. But Mark Williams, the Suns didn't give up a lot for him. I mean, they gave up the 29th overall pick this year and a really late first round pick, I think next year. That is the worst of like 4 teams. The Suns gave up 2 late first round picks for him. Where in February, if I'm not mistaken, he was traded for a first round pick that was unprotected, if I might add, Dalton Connect, and a couple of other players. The Suns got Mark Williams for cheaper than the Los Angeles Lakers did, which is always a fun thing to say because Lakers fans, love to act like Mark Williams, when they got him, or at least presumably got him, thought that they were ultimately winning the championship. But at the end of the day, they ended up having to send him back from what were, to some people like myself, little eyebrow raising, but nothing to see here. It's the Los Angeles Lakers. You don't have to worry about just about anything. Also, I'm a little frustrated that my background, if you're watching on YouTube, isn't purple right now, but it's okay. We'll have to get that fixed whenever we can. I just realized that. But yeah, Lakers fans were saying the most wild things, like they were going to win the championship because they got Mark Williams on their team. They were actually mourning the loss of one Dalton Connect. And the Suns get him for more or less nothing. And then what happens? Oh, the Suns overpaid for an injury-prone big man. Mark Williams holds the keys to a lot of a successful Phoenix Suns season and kind of the future as well, because this guy is extension eligible. And the Suns have to decide whether they're going to pay him a fat contract or not. What a fat contract looks like, I don't know. In the NBA, they all seem massive, but I would assume this guy is going to get somewhere in the realm of $80 million. I'm just guesstimating, but it feels like that's probably where he's going to get, because when he's on the floor, the dude is a problem. And this is why the Lakers traded for him. Last year, 15 points, shoots really well from the free throw line at 80%. That's unheard of for a guy at 7 foot tall. But 60% from the field. That means he's got good touch around the rim. He's making other opposing teams pay around the basket. Obviously, he doesn't shoot any threes. He's kind of a change of pace from what the Suns are trying to do with Kamal Malawach. But he's got 15 points a game. If Mark Williams, and I wonder if Mark Williams can stay healthy, which is what I was going to say before I so rudely interrupted myself. If Mark Williams can stay healthy, I mean, that's already a win for the Suns. I also wonder how injured Mark Williams actually was. How many times were the Hornets like, we're counting ping pong balls. Sit this one out, big fella. Because Williams, in my opinion, is, I think, a little bit of an underrated passer. Obviously, a good rebounder. And around the rim will finish with authority. This is not going to be DeAndre Ayton or Yusuf Nurkic. This guy, when he gets to the basket, he's rolling off of a pick and roll, cutting backdoor or catching a lob. He's going to throw it down. He's an aggressive player. It's just about health for him. And the Suns have to make a decision really soon on Mark Williams. I was kind of hoping they go after a guy in Drake Powell, but from North Carolina, but ultimately the Suns felt like they had enough forwards and really wanted to solidify the front court of this Suns team, mostly at the center position. And they went and got Mark Williams. But the Suns had limited assets. The Suns still have limited assets. I couldn't even tell you what picks they have left. I think maybe 2 second-round picks, maybe. Mark Williams is incredibly important to this team's success. Because if he's a dud or he can't stay healthy, you did give up draft picks for him. And you could have brought someone else into the fold. If I'm not mistaken, the kid from Stanford, the big center from Stanford, whose name is escaping me right now, Frenchman, he was available. Suns could have taken him. They said Maxine Reynaud, if I'm not mistaken, was available. And the Suns said, no, we'd rather have Mark Williams here. And they decided to go with the guy who's proven, but a little bit more injury prone. And I know we played the game before of how injured was he with the Phoenix Suns? How injured was he? And I don't want to go through that same route with Bradley Beal, because genuinely that is kind of what it felt like with Bradley Beal, which was like, oh, when he comes to Phoenix, he'll actually play games. He wasn't actually not healthy. The Wizards were just having him sit out. And then you think to yourself, man, oh man, how stupid was that? How absolutely dumb was that? He showed us who he was, and the Suns still brought Bradley Beal here. There's a little bit of that reeks with when it comes to Mark Williams. And that is, really plainly, he is telling you he doesn't play a lot of games. And the Suns said, we don't believe you. And they are going to once again roll it out with an injury-prone player. Now it's a little different. Mark Williams is much younger than Bradley Beal was when he came to the Suns. But for a couple reasons, I mean, you could argue Mark Williams is the number one most important player outside of the rookies for the Phoenix Suns season. because they invested 2 first-round picks into him. And I think Vasa Micic, which was just to make money work. And as well as they're risking the fact that this guy has been injured in the past. So Jalen Green, number 1, Mark Williams, number 2, both guys have a lot of things riding on this season. So with that being the case, I want to talk about our third guy and an honorable mention. And we'll do that next. You guys know about my affinity for Ryan Dunn. I do think Ryan Dunn is very important to the Phoenix Suns' success this season. Because I believe I'm counting on a lot for Ryan Dunn this season. And I understand that might be my bias showing, but this has been my guy. If you've been following my journey, and I don't blame you if you haven't been, before I came on to Locked On Phoenix Suns, I was a fairly periodically fill-in host for Fox Sports 910 in Phoenix. That was the 910 AM dial, the other side of the FM. And I remember going on nights, the night before draft night and the day of draft night, whatever, the day before and the day of draft day. And I had said to the public, you got to go get this Ryan Dunn kid. I know he can't shoot a lick, but this guy has got superb athleticism. I don't think we've seen since Sean Marion, a high flyer and an elite level defender. You got to go get this kid here in Phoenix. And I was a little concerned when the Suns traded back in that draft because Ryan Dunn was there for the taking. But clearly they must have known that Ryan Dunn was going to be available to them. And they wanted to stockpile a couple of picks in order to get, but also get their guy too. Ryan Dunn, I think, is really important to this season because he's either going to take a sizable step forward in year 2, or he's going to stay what he is. And if he stays what he is, last year it was excusable, right? Young player, still trying to figure out his way in the league. Really good pesky defender. Plus they kind of needed his size too on that small team. And so you lived with some of the deficiencies. Not great shooting the 3-point shot. Not great shooting the ball at all. If Ryan Dunn picks up some semblance of a 3-point shot, where opposing teams don't have to dare him to shoot the ball, Ryan Dunn, I think, is going to be a star. And I know that is I understand that is that's a sizable prediction to make. I get it. But I saw what I saw in Ryan Dunn last year. Not only was he shutting down opposing teams' best players, especially in the first parts of the season, where he had to cover Paul George and LeBron James and like Luka Doncic in like back-to-back nights. And he shut those guys down when he was asked to play on those guys. And so Ryan Dunn, I think, can be a star in this league. And Ryan Dunn, similarly to Jalen Green, can change the way this Phoenix Suns team is looked at 1 year from now if one of those guys turns out to be a star. Because then you're like, oh, we got a 6'8", two-way star on our hands to pair alongside Devin Booker. We don't even need to trade draft picks or accumulate draft assets. We don't need to do that. We got a star right here, homegrown. We'll figure it out through this way. And so that's why Ryan Dunn is so important here. I don't want to sit here for 10 more minutes telling you about why Ryan Dunn can be awesome. We know why he could be awesome. But I have to remind you, if he can develop some semblance of a 3-point shot, I mean, it's lights out for opposing teams. Because then you got to deal with a, two-headed dragon in Devin Booker and Ryan Dunn. And then finally, a wild card per se, or a honorable mention. Because the Phoenix Suns' identity, part of it is going to be muck up games, push dudes around, and overall toughness. Dillon Brooks, I could not leave him out of this video. Dillon Brooks is a culture changer. And he kind of similarly to Chris Paul, he goes places and wears out his welcome after a while. Memphis Grizzlies, they loved him there, and then they were kind of done with him. Houston, they really loved him. He helped build a culture there, and then they said that they could live without him. Not that it ended as poorly as it did with the Grizzlies, or even before the season ended, everyone knew he wasn't coming back. With the Rockets, it was just like, do we really need him? Nah, we don't. But he's a winning basketball player. And his toughness is going to be asked to carry this team in large stretches where defensively he's going to take on the opposing team's best player. There's a lot of Steph Currys and LeBron Jameses and Kawhi Leonards in this Pacific Division alone. And he's going to be asked to be the anchor defensively to push opposing teams around. He's going to be asked to do that. And I think he's going to do it well. But he has to help establish and change a culture here in Phoenix. Over the last couple of years, this has been a losing culture in Phoenix. And this team needed someone to change the outlook of this team. And I think that's why they zeroed in on a guy like Dillon Brooks and maybe not a Jabari Smith Jr. They said, we can get the young wings. We want to bring this kid in to show everyone what toughness looks like. How many times last year would Kevin Durant and Devin Booker get pushed down and no Suns player would be backing him up? Bol would be shooting buckets behind while guys were scrapping in the front row. No one cared. There was no fight in this team. Dillon Brooks can be a little annoying. 100%. But Dillon the Villain is also a thing. You hate him when you have to play against him. You freaking love him when he's on your team. And this guy has shown everywhere he's went, culture follows him. And yeah, is it a little cringy at times? For sure. It's like Russell Wilson in the NFL. Dude was a little cringy, but damn did the teams that he played on in his prime just win a lot of games. That's Dillon Brooks. He does things in an unorthodox way. He's a little cringy, but he has become a really important piece for teams that are trying to build a culture. And for a team like the Suns that have a lot of young guys, Kamal Malawach, Kobe Brea, Rasheer Fleming, Oso, I think Ryan Dunn's going to learn a lot from Dillon Brooks. It's that to fear nobody, respect everyone. But don't be afraid to throw an elbow in someone's chest. And if you get called for a foul, so freaking what? This team's not playing the NBA Finals anyways. He is going to be one of the sole reasons opposing teams might beat the Suns, and we know are better than the Suns, but they're going to say, damn, that was supposed to be an easy night for us. I'm gassed. That is the type of culture Dillon Brooks is going to help install in this Phoenix Suns team. And so, yeah, I think Ryan Dunn is ahead of him. Dillon Brooks is going to play a massive role. With that being said, guys, do me a favor, follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the show. Appreciate you guys being here. It is almost basketball season. I'm freaking stoked, man. We got Media Day coming up next Wednesday, September 24th. It is going to be an absolute ball. So can't wait to get that season started with you guys. Do me a favor. You got something in the that maybe you want my opinion on, that you want me to do a segment on? Drop in the comments down below. You want a guest to come on the show? I'm kind of saving those now until the season kind of gets closer, and then we'll start ramping up those guests again. But maybe you got a guest that you want me to bring on, we can do that as well, and we can make that happen. With that being said, guys, follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts, and we will talk to you guys. It's a John Voida Tuesday tomorrow. John Voida will be on the show, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow.